What is up, YouTube? This is your boy, Black Eye Senpai, and today I'm joined by a very special cast of people. So if you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves one by one, um, I'm going to start from top to bottom on my list. I have the always snoring CFK.
If I can't hear, it's Aqua baby. How it is.
Alright,
We got half of that.
yeah, I know. Next, I have a newcomer, Riggs.
Yo, what up? I'm Riggs. I've been playing this game for a while. Some people might better know me from Robbie Cole's videos where I would go and top random 1Ks and just make money. But I've topped several BCS Springfests and stuff like that. I got my pins if y'all want to see them.
No.
Next, we have the master of the magic satchel, Tiz Skill.
Hey yo.
We have growing to be one of my favorite new Aquaforce YouTubers, WaveNation.
What's going on, guys? WaveNation.
And of course, we have the always popular, always controversial, never duplicated Zay.
Wow. What's up, dude?
What's up?
Alright.
He's controversial.
Oh yeah, Zay is controversial. This man over here, like, you don't know. Like, go check my video history log. This man over here.
Spark a huge discussion in one of the videos.
Yo, you're right. I mean, he did say titles no longer to be run. I remember.
No, dude, no. Don't say I said that.
No,
he took my advice when he went to what world?
No, it's ARG.
Oh, that works. Same thing.
Worlds.
Same thing.
Yeah, Worlds and ARG. Okay, so today we're here to talk about the two new cards because they have definitely sparked some new life in the Aquaforce community, and we are talking about Storm Rider Nicholas and of course Coral Assault. So, guys, thoughts, opinions?
Wait. Technically, because we've been gone for so long,
we have a lot to cover. We have to
5 new cards. We haven't talked about premium collection.
Yeah, this is true, but
Yo, can we just start with Valios, and that card's insane? Alright, next card.
I mean, I'm sure it's going to come up later, but yeah, Valios definitely should be talked about.
Yeah, like, I'm giving Valios his own thing later on, so, like, yeah, just stay tuned. Watch that. Should be coming out this weekend when I actually have more time to record.
Okay, first thoughts on Pro Assault and Nicolas is the fact that we have rearguards that are solving a lot of our problems that we had previously with Crow Assault going to Soul, Crow Assault drawing a card, basically self-replacing itself. That's amazing. It hits big numbers. It's just a phenomenal grade 2, and it really easily slots into that like little like 4 of whatever slot that like a lot of people were just experimenting with, like Basils, with Lazaruses, with Shotgun Assaults, and it's free. I mean, that was another huge issue, is like our costs were getting pretty ridiculous. So that's nice. And then like Nicolas. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, okay. It gives us that really crazy early game too that we were originally lacking, and sometimes just swings for 27 if you're on OG meals. He's a solid card, man. He's really good.
Yeah,
honestly, like, there's nothing more you could ask for a rearguard, and like in that caliber of like something that's a beater.
Yeah, and like the only other thing I could think of to ask for this card is just like whenever you ride Maelstrom Soul, Counterblast 1, call this card from Soul, it gets plus 20,000. That'd be like the best thing, but it's asking a little bit too much. But yeah, this card, Coral Assault, I believe it's amazing. It definitely solves a lot of problems, and like you guys said earlier, but main thing is it definitely helps fuel for Tidal Assault and Shotgun Assault. So,
And I'm gonna also add in that the Coral Assault can also be an attack sponge in a way, because like depending on, obviously it depends on the rest of our support and Glory Maelstrom and all, but the fact that we have the option of whether or not to throw him into the Soul to draw a card is a good thing, because I know that leaving him out, and then if he dies, against field control, you're never going to leave him out. But against other things that are forced to attack it, that could be some type of damage sponge away from your Vanguard If you want to just bait attacks into him.
Oh, he
Like-
100% will be like Riptide 2.0.
Oh yeah, he will be
Yeah.
attacked a lot. I mean, he's no different than like I know nobody cares about this clan, but Mega Colonies, water, you attack Water Gang if it's not immediately used. It's gonna be
Yeah,
no different with this guy.
Yeah, and I mean, Water Gang and extremely valuable, and I think that depending on how Coral Assault's going to be, especially if you're sitting there pounding your opponent with it, early in the game, his value is just going to go up, and then if you just leave him on the board, it's kind of like, all right, now the opponent has to make, you can force your opponent to make a bad decision, kind of like what Maelstrom does in terms of guarding. You can make them make a really bad decision in terms of where they attack.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
I
Definitely.
mean, the
true.
best thing when it comes to Coral, in my opinion, and the reason why I like Valios for premium too, is like the fact that you can call it and then put it immediately into Soul and replenish what you call. Like, it cycles, and cycling in V is really strong when played right. Like, sure, you're gonna draw triggers, and sure, but sometimes you can get to things that you need. And if Maelstrom becomes one of those cards that is a finisher, and you need to get to it, maybe Coral gets you there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think another really good thing is like, I mean, you guys kind of touched on it a second ago, but just like the early game, literally the being able to consistently get algos and like that turn 2 play kind of going from like a bunch of little 9k swings over and over and over again, that was like they hit a damage trigger and shuts the whole thing down. Now it's like it still hits and you get like to replenish your resources. So it goes from like just a really like high roll rush where it all depends on the damage triggers. Now it's like a solid, like almost Royal Paladin caliber rush play on turn 2. It's like
Oh,
really
yeah.
I'm gonna come
solid.
out and say it.
Not only does it
Tidal
still hit.
Assault. Tidal Assault may move for Shotgun. Just gonna call it.
He made what?
He may be moved for Shotgun Assault.
No, shit. You can move. Hey, you can move.
I mean, honestly, a lot of people have had conversations about Aquaforce hitting lines, and it's kind of thing. Like, look at all the Excel clans that do well. They hit numbers. Kumo, Murakami, like in these
Okay,
metas that they come out.
hold on. We need to pause on the
So wait, all the clans that got more than one wave of support?
Kumo's.
Murakami did not.
Yeah,
That's
They get two.
Narukami only has one in a trial deck. Same amount of support that we got.
But it's also at a later date.
Yeah,
Of
this
course.
is true.
I mean,
Well,
but
I think
what I'm
regardless-
saying is, like, initially they were scared of Excel. So if you actually look at Hell Moon, us, Nova Grappler, they're obviously scared coming from the end of G when Aquaforce and Nova Grappler were just tearing through the meta because of multi-attacks and numbers.
I'd like to dispel this what is it? Misinformation that's going around that Pale Moon is some kind of bad clan. If you play the Golden Beast Tamer Rush deck, that is a very good deck.
Oh yeah, no, that deck is phenomenal.
I don't understand why people sleep on Pale Moon so much, but like Golden Beast Tamer Rush is very good.
If we got the
I don't know why
Silverthorn
people don't play it.
promo, if we actually got that Silverthorn promo, Gunsalut's actually a good deck as well.
Well,
That promo is really important.
Pale Moon definitely is not struggling. Like I hate why when people try to make it seem like they're bad, because they're not. They are a very good clan.
Yeah, in fact, it was actually like even through this like last wave of support, like they only added one card to the build. Everything else stayed the same. It's swings 25 over and over and over and over again.
I mean,
It's very gross.
but if we're looking at tops, like all the clans that top, they hit numbers. And I understand a lot is force, but looking at it, a lot of people have the complaint of Aquaforce doesn't hit numbers. They do little attacks, and one trigger kills everything, and that seems to be getting fixed. And
Well, I mean, you also have to look at the problem. The problem is people are playing mostly naval, wondering why, oh man, I can't win with my deck when one trigger shuts down my turn early and they're at 2-3 damage, which means you're very likely to attack into one. Whereas, if more people converted to the hybrid build, which is better, and played that Maelstrom early game, even if they hit a trigger early on, you can still do stuff on your turn. No different than what's going to happen when we have Coral Assault. Especially since you can just slap Coral on a rear guard and it's still going to hit. The only difference here is that people, for reasons or another, had it in their head very early on that Maelstrom is a bad card and refused to run him and intentionally gimp themselves. so they don't understand the value that 3K brings. Yeah, meme on it however you want. That costs a counterblast. It should have been free, but whatever. The damage is done. At the end of the day, Maelstrom fixes your numbers and allows you to hit relevant numbers, even into defensive trigger. And you have to know how to structure your attack.
I blame Vanguardians for people's bad outlook on Maelstrom, to be honest.
Yeah, I took part in all those memes as well. So I mean,
Yo, we all did. We all did. And we all found out.
I'm gonna separate myself. I didn't.
I from the start said Maelstrom was better than Naval. We can go back.
I don't know if I'll agree he's better, but I definitely think he's an important piece of the puzzle.
I think Maelstrom to me is much better than Naval. I mean, the reason why I say this is because Naval Gazer doesn't offer you anything. It's like you do get an extra guaranteed restand for a counterblast, but
and 10k on your Vanguard.
And 10k on your Vanguard. Well, and there's one thing. I don't care about my Vanguard getting 10k. I want my rear guards to get 10k. I want them to do damage because who cares about the Vanguard?
I want them to guard everything.
Well, I mean, yeah, but they're most likely not going to guard, Naval Gazer, especially if he has a booster behind him. But my thing is like, Maelstrom, he does fix the number problem when you need to hit, 22 or 25 with something. If you want to force your opponent to make bad guarding decisions between, the third and fourth battle, or taking damage between the first and second battle. I mean, and against decks like, Merc, Humos, who have an ability to neg your power, against decks like Mega Connie, who neg your power, that plus 3k could put you just within that threshold of actually being able to do some damage to the opponent. Rather than with Navigator, you're sitting there with a sad face.
Yeah, I think they kind of complement each other in that sense, though, where like Maelstrom is definitely the one that you want to be on early. It provides the pressure. It provides where you kind of play that mental game with your opponent, the game that you want to play when they're at 3 or 4 damage. You're in control of the game if they're at low damage when you're on Maelstrom. You don't want to be on Naval Gazer at that time. But when they're on 5, like that Riptide double swing play on Naval Gazer, or now Coral Assault double swing play, that's devastating at 5 damage.
Naval Gazer definitely at 5, cut the brakes loose, all gas, all go.
They're both good for different purposes.
But the thing is if you think about the two and what they do for the deck, let's be honest, Naval Gazer is great, but he's easily replaceable. Any finisher can come and take his place.
Yeah,
he's not a card that's integral to the deck.
No.
Can you imagine Aquaforce right now without Maelstrom? How bad our numbers are going to be?
We didn't. I wouldn't even play.
That is a case where if we lose Maelstrom, or if we're ever forced to remove Maelstrom, I'll agree. Yeah, title probably has to go because
the only time
we're gonna have a bigger problem on our hands at that point.
The only time that I could see us removing Maelstrom from our deck would be for a Tetra Drive. That's the only acceptable thing. Well, if I'm going based off of just the skill that we used to have. So, but I foresee Tetra Drive being, he's that dude. I can't say the word that I want to say on stream or on the video, but he's that guy. All right.
I mean, here's something that I think people got very much into is in G. Let's just say Aquaforce, you ran Thavas.
Mm-hmm.
There really was no tech on grade 3. You just ran Thavas, right? But V is not like that. People actually thought in the beginning, when 2 VRs come out, you're always going to run 4 VRs. Well, basically 8, right? 4 and 4, new and old. But that has been stopped. You look at Kumo running 4 Baku, 2 Geki, 4 Yuki, right? Decks aren't just straightforward. You're running more grade 3s. You're also trying to tech more. You're also not having to run, all these different cards. Murakami was a great example of 4 VRs, 3 or 4 triple R, and then 2 double R. You can do this now. The decks aren't xenophobic. It's not Maelstrom is its own separate deck and Naval Gazer is its own separate deck. No, they kind of can run together and complement each other depending on your style and depending on the situation.
They run together until Glory comes out. That's my opinion. That's my stance on it. Until Glory drops, they run together.
I definitely think Glory is going to force out Naval, but mostly on the impression that Riptide is still an invaluable rearguard, even if he's the absolute worst ride he could possibly have. Just because the added pressure that a Riptide Coral column plus having a restander on Excel Circle brings, on that Maelstrom turn is just, it's way too good to give up.
Let's be
And you
real,
don't
we've
know
all
what
won
card-
riding Rip.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh my.
that's my favorite.
Well,
Oh my
another thing is like talking about like the different grade 3s and the different clans that you're talking about. Like a lot of the really good grade 3s in Excel right now that you'd run as a backup, they offer really like versatile utility, right? Like Shirayuki with the -10. That's like not what your main play is going to be every time, but it's a really good option to have sitting in your pocket, ready to go. Same thing with Narukami. I mean, Detonix is like very indirect because it has the bird revive play, but that's another level of utility that it has. Like Naval Gazer doesn't really offer any utility. It's just very straightforward. You're going to attack one more time than you would. That's it.
I think that's really important to note is like why our rear guards or our other 3s or our backup 3 was essentially just Naval Gazer. Was like, if you even look at Nova Grappler, right? They had a Shurikaiser, they had Perfect Riser, and they had Battle Door. They had 3 solid ride cards.
Or
And
sometimes Maximum Riser in the
Yeah.
deck too.
yeah, and you played Max Riser as a good rear guard, but I mean, like, you had multiple good cards you could just ride, and some of them were great rear guards. And it's like, well, look at Aqua Force. We literally have like 2 grade 3s, maybe 3 that we actually really want to play, but we only ever want to ride 2 of them.
I mean, you don't want to ride Diamantes, yeah.
No.
You don't, but you at least get an
You at least get
Excel
a gift, so yeah.
I don't even know
mean-
if I ever want to run Diamante.
I like Diamantes.
Diamantes honestly is the premium breaker, but that's okay. That's his.
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
his
playground.
That's his, yeah.
I don't
He-
even
he
think he's
exists
bad
to-
in stand. He's just
He exists just to give us Excel circles and premium and do nutty things.
hey, he's okay. He's too overcosted, I think, is his problem.
Yeah, which is
I mean, in premium, like we can build a hand, so it's not an issue. We can't
Yeah.
possibly do that in standard.
Not
Yeah.
yet, anyways. We don't know what the rest of the... We just got a +1, man. Come on. We gotta wait.
okay. And speaking of said +1, Nikolaj. Like I feel like we've been putting up Coral Assault, but Nikolaj is definitely nothing to.
Dude,
Nothing-
that
It's
card's literally in a tier of its own.
Yeah.
It's our grade 1 slot.
because we get.
+1, it's a grade 1 that can hit force rear guards on 2. That card's insane.
This is honestly one of the best grade ones in Aqua Force as a clan as a whole.
I want to say it's probably like you mean including like G era support.
I think including premium. I think this card's
including premium. Yeah, this card literally is like, it's literally like we have a Ripple Searcher for a restand. Not even a potentially vanilla card or like a Genovius we can't use yet. It's a Searcher for a restander. Like that's huge. It
I
sets
mean-
up our grade 2 turn.
Yeah.
realistically, like playing ripples with us, right? Like you can call it, you can get an Algos, and then you can like just shove it in and ride something else.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
shove it in, put the Soterial on Vanguard Circle, so you play the Algos on Vanguard Circle, do the top 7 search, and then you shove that in, get the Pavroth, pull out the Algos. You have a restander with bonus power plus like 3 cards. If you hit or like what we were talking about before, if you hit a sea turtle. So if you sea turtle
Oof.
and you hit Nikolaj hits the Algos, you've essentially already plus 2 cards. And,
Yeah.
like you can keep going from there. Like it's disgusting the things you're able to do with this card and ripples.
Yeah, and then on
Yeah.
top of that, like you'll get your Coral Assault on rear, swing with that, stand it, swing with it again for 24, throw it in soul. Next turn you can pull it out and do it again.
Turtle.
The main issue though is like ripples just gets really hard to build deck wise because man, that's just
The
so
ripple
many good
space
cards.
is eaten.
It's tight like a prisoner virgin's butthole.
Oh my god.
What?
Oh my god.
What?
My dude, you understand? You're my
I think
life.
you just broke both the rules you gave.
Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa. I'm allowed to.
Whoa.
But yeah, I really think both cards, both reveals, absolutely fantastic, high quality cards.
Yeah,
So-
that's
So here's a question, right? What
Yeah.
do we want out of the rest of the cards? So we have one more triple rare, maybe a couple double rares, rares and commons, whatever. What do we want?
Well, I want. You already know what I want. What I want.
we want for you to have a stable connection so you can talk.
My gosh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, boy.
Gee whiz. You know what? I'm not even gonna speak. Bye.
Oh my god.
No, see now
So you know what I want?
CFK.
I would. I would really, really like if Aquaforce didn't actually have a lot of pluses, but instead cycled a lot. Like had attackers that replaced themselves or grade 1s that replaced themselves on the spot.
You mean like
like
old,
Mubas, but not drop and draws.
you know, like
Yeah, I wouldn't like drop and draws. I'd like him to actually like, become another resource and then draw a card. I actually am a big fan of that type of playstyle. Like Coral Assault to me fills that role perfectly. Nicholas Search is one of our actual best grade 2 ride, and you know he doesn't like. He also produces an attack, either grade 1 or grade 2, which is fantastic. And he's by himself at that. Or he fixes numbers in the early game or the late game, and he thins the deck. Like, I honestly would really like to see them continue going that route, where they have cards that are either very specific or cards that are just overall generally good. And thanks for the
I mean, hell, like, even on Maelstrom Turn, on Excel Circle, Maelstrom Turn, he's either a 19k or a 24k swing, which is still relevant numbers even into Force. Like, he's just a very good card all around. Like, you can't be upset about that.
Like, honestly, I'm worried they give Aquaforce more +1s, and that's just not something I think the clan needs. I don't think the clan needs +1s. It's never needed a lot of +1s to be able to it just needs a way to get its pieces.
Yeah,
the issue I'm seeing with Nicolaj, which I said before, is like we have a lot of like especially because he makes Viviana, well, not so much him, but like him and Coral existing makes Viviana actually a decent card instead of like one of the worst cards we got, which then kind of like it creates a lot more competition in the grade 1 slots that we didn't have previously, and like we still have an unidentified grade 1 triple R coming, and if it's anywhere near the quality of these two cards, like deck space might get really tough.
See, this is what I want. Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, I hope it's Wheel Assault.
I hope it's Wheel Assault too.
Wheel Assault so bad, my dude.
Okay.
I love that card.
Now, see, like this is like what I want is not as like a specific card, because like I already put out like a video like, oh, these are 5 units I want to see. No, but I want to see something like either with a Melania skill. I either want to see that, a Saberflow skill, or because we have Kagero, we have Narukami, we have all these things that can get rid of our pieces. I want something with resist, something with it.
See, while I like resist in premium because it was a necessary evil there, I feel like resist is a bad precedence. But then again, so is Blade Master. So it's hard to say. But like when you start making retire too cost efficient to the point where it's not even really a cost anymore, and it's causing your opponent to neg heavily like that, then resist becomes a necessary countermeasure.
That's why I like cards like Coral, because he's immune to stuff like that. He comes in, does his job, gets the fuck out the.
Yeah, Coral in a way is kind of like Saberflow that just swings for 24 and only draws 1.
That's what I would like, right? Instead of giving us resist, have us like, constantly replace. Yeah, get some tempo, replace himself, get a new card.
You know what I want? Yeah, I just want Valyria, and I want her to be like, you know, Counterblast, Soul Blast, or whatever her cost may be. I really don't care. But I want it to be retire 1, draw 1. That's it.
Dude, what if we got a Demolition Dragon? What if we got a Demolition Dragon?
Oh, dude, it's literally just Demolition Dragon, and it's a 10k, except it's called Aquaforce Dragon.
No, I'd like, you can call it Moist Dragon.
Moist Boy, let's go. I like Moist Boy.
Oh my god, dude, these names.
Because I don't think we're gonna get our Parthenia and our Harpalus, like I really, really, really do want Retire too.
Yeah.
So I would like to see our girl come back, but
yeah,
it's rough. Like, and the thing is if we do get Parthenia again, the grade 1s all of a sudden are starting to see a lot of competition out of nowhere, when before it's very easy. Slap for the 3 cards.
You know, my thing is that as much as good support as we get, can we please? What I always ask for is, since the way that they're releasing clans now and how they're doing the sets, like everything's like once a year, can we get support that will last us through a multitude of formats? Kind of like what I'm seeing Kagero getting with the Great and all them. It's like, can we survive through multiple formats without, just going back down?
Dude, I think Kagero is a dead deck until the Great, to be honest.
And that's what I mean. Because my thing is that when the Great comes out, I don't believe the deck has any real bad matchups at all, because it could just grind out a lot of things. But when I'm talking about support, like even though when the end comes out, and I'm not too high on the end, but it's like after well, I'll tell you why later. But like so we come out and then the next set is like what the Royal Paladin. It's like
Yeah,
the next big
Miyagi
is like
too.
right Miyagi 2 and then AL4. Like after AL4, where are we going to be at? How relevant are we going to be? Are we still going to be relevant towards the end of the year when we get the destructive roar clans again going into next year? Like, are we still going to be relevant throughout the year until we get back up to where we are? Because from my understanding, I can see Bermuda Triangle being good and standard for a really long time,
Well,
and I want that for Aquaforce.
Well, I'd
yeah.
argue, like, despite what
Well-
people think, we're not a bad clan. We're actually very solidly middle of the pack. I just played the deck at a regional and slapped most of the people I played against. And I played into deleters and shit, and that was even a very close game in itself. I think the hardest matchups we have currently are definitely probably Narukami and definitely Shadow Paladins. And
Dude, Shadows at times feels actually unwinnable. Like, it feels like there's nothing we can.
Murakumo as well. Like Shiryuki
Shadows-
actually shuts down our whole turn.
Shadow's too efficient. Murakumo, I think, is yes and no, because
Mhm.
the thing is we can absolutely just slap them while they're on Zanbaku. But like,
We also have
it is
some,
when the
We have some pretty good Royals players here that will grind Aquaforce to a halt too. Like, they just play a little slower game with it. It's really
that's the
hard to deal
thing
with.
though. We can't even play the grind game, so
No, we
that doesn't
can't.
surprise me.
Yeah.
But
I
like,
mean,
we're relatively solid. Like we're not the greatest, but we're not the worst clan in the game. Like everybody tries to meme. Honestly, no word of a lie. No shitting on people. 100% true. The worst clan in the game is Grand Blue. There is no denying it. Everybody knows it. Even Grand Blue players have the deck. Don't touch it. It is the worst clan in the game. It can't guarantee its rides.
Yep.
Can't guarantee its
That's
mills.
very true.
Like, there's just way too much wrong with the deck. Like, to put us in the same category as Grand Blue is insulting.
Mhm.
Like-
It's not even that Grand Blue got bad cards. It's just that they don't know what the hell they want the clan to do.
Yeah.
Like, Romario costed a counterblast. You have to ride Romario and Ruin Shade to have Basskirk online. Let's be real. Basskirk is a 3. He is insane. +1 each turn, 5k crit, gains a ton of free power. That you can't ask for much more than that from a Protect grade 3.
The problem is, though, is they can't guarantee getting Protect gifts, and they don't even have, like, real card draw.
And you don't want to ride you don't want to ride the dragon, who's like the only
Yeah.
that will give you a protect gift other than that other card that you can superior ride from the drop zone.
Yeah,
I mean,
Breach.
Honestly, like, I think they're at the point where they have to ride Breach, because they can't afford not to get Protect gifts right now.
That's true.
I mean,
But
here's
that's the problem with them is like they were given like if you look at card quality, they got like Ruin Shade's a very good card. Basskirk's arguably one of the best grade 3s in the game.
Romario's one of
cards-
the best grade ones in the game.
Yeah, Romario's insane too. Like they got really good cards. It's just there's no synergy because it's like you can't guarantee you ride Romario, and then if your opponent just rides and passes, you're like, well, shit, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Like-
here's what I'll say about Cardfight King and you wanting Aquaforce to last. Like Aquaforce will last for those who want to be clan loyalists, but you have to understand Bushiroad makes money off of two things: clan loyalists and constant meta switching. Like they're going to introduce decks so frequent. One, you have an issue of 24 clans. Two, you have the issue of constant support.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, metas are constantly evolving. Like Bermuda
Look at-
Triangle,
look at
out.
Nubis.
Kagero comes out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Bermuda's made Nubis meta.
Give us
Exactly.
Shiranui. Please give us Shiranui.
No.
so like,
that's the game. Don't no.
so like you look at this, the game is going to naturally progress and move these decks out. Like people who think Bermuda Triangle is going to be around for a year, or that they're unfair, or that they're broken, know that the meta will push them out. New sets will come out, and new cards will just. It's called power creep, and I know people think of power creep like in games of Magic and in games of like Hearthstone, where like cards just come out that are like just better. But Vanguard doesn't really have that. We have what's called game, creep, where like the game just moves into a way where things are just strong.
It's
Like-
also the player base too.
Also keep in mind every single time in the history of Vanguard, Bermuda has gotten a new set. They either get a mechanic that no other clan has yet, or they get too much handed to them, and they always get meta right after attack.
Like, I think the main thing to keep in mind too is like the meta is largely determined by the player base. Like, whereas you have this 50% like play rate, 75% win rate for Bermudas in Japan, it's not going to be the case when it comes over here. The clan isn't as popular in the West as it is in Japan. So like I don't see it ever getting to that point. Like Kagero though, Kagero is going to be fucking everywhere. You're not going to be
of course.
in Kagero. So like that definitely is going to be a thing. And like another thing to keep in mind is like we as a clan, Aquaforce has never had good player retention whatsoever. We come out, we're usually like we are or we aren't really strong, and people will flock to us if we're amazing. But as soon as the new hotness is out, everybody drops the deck and moves on to that, and the loyalists are left with the deck. And
I'm
like
not
that's
gonna
how we've
lie.
always been.
I've seen something really weird with Aquaforce that I don't see with other clans. So, like, aside from Garmware, right? I have friends, like a lot of friends, and a lot of random people I've met just in my travels, who are like, they are really big loyalists of like one specific Aquaforce unit. Like, they either really like Maelstrom, or they like, or they really like Thavas. And there are people who will play the clan as long as they can play their boss.
Yeah.
Like, I got friends who just absolutely adore Tetra. And if Tetra's there, they'll play the clan. Like, they don't even care if they'll just play it because.
Oh
of Tetra.
god.
Well,
Actually,
kind of going back to like the what the original question was, which is like what we kind of want to see coming out of the set moving forward. I think that like my answer is different today than it was yesterday before we saw this stuff. Which like my philosophy with Aquaforce in standards so far has kind of been like use as little resources as possible to get your turn to work and just do it that way. But like just with these two cards being shown, like all of a sudden we benefit off of having cards on board. Like I want to see more cards that have some kind of like benefit or some kind of bonus from either having pieces on board or like more things that disappear and replace themselves, so that like having things on board isn't such a punishment later on.
Yeah, that way we don't just like lose for actually doing what we were like rushing, which is like a big thing with Aquaforce, right? Is like we're supposed to like put on this crazy early game pressure and just keep up the momentum, but they never really supported that in standard. So we just had cards that we'd commit, they'd die, and then we'd.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see them kind of like start to get back to that, because Aquaforce kind of I feel like lost their identity in the beginning of standard, where we were kind of just like a Nova Grappler clone, and like we lost that like turn 2 rush play that was so scary before. We kind of just like I said, we just became Nova Grappler 2.0. It's nice to see us like starting to.
Another thing that's really important to note, and this is like the one thing I've never seen a lot of Aquaforce players talk about, like while our triggers became 10Ks, like our cards' power, like their base powers all stayed. So like triggers became far more detrimental to us than they were ever before.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. That's like why seeing cards like Coral come out are so beneficial.
Yeah, 15 actually like makes the trigger look like non-existent, and it's really good that we got those types of cards.
Yeah.
But yeah, so overall, we all in agreement though that Nicholas or Nicolaj or whatever his name is, he's amazing. He thins, he's great. Standard, he's great. Premium, and same thing with Coral Assault. You know, he gives us soul finally, and he gives us a nice little replacement for himself. So yeah, I do hope that we do all get to see what we want to see in the rest of the set, because the new card of the day out, card of the day is out. It's a Nova Grappler unit. I was going to talk about it if it was an Aquaforce unit, but it's not, sadly. But yeah, hopefully we do get to see the rest of the reveals like this week, and it's actually something good, and hopefully we get to see Glory.
We're not gonna see Glory.
I do want to say
weeks.
something about Glory too, because it's just something that I heard earlier in regards to Tetra Drive, in regards to Glory, and something that, like in regards to Maelstrom, like, so like, well, it would be nice to have Tetra Drive. I don't want Tetra Drive any hint of its previous effect, just simply because I've said it before and I'll say it again. Effects like Glory effects and effects like Restanders in Excel clans just doesn't work. It worked at a time in old Vanguard when everybody was swinging with the same numbers and like boost them and blah blah blah. But like, when you're swinging with 23Ks versus when you're swinging with, I don't know, say Overlord's 40-something Ks, it's just not the same. It's not the same impact, not the same level of threat.
I think I agree with you, unless you're already picking apart their resources like Narukami does.
Fair.
So like, since Narukami already shreds your resources, them having a restander only supplements their ripping away your resources play, and they kind of have a break ride and stuff, which helps.
Well, not only that, the fact that like
the fact that Detonics can restand right after he swings for like first battle, like you can just hit all those fronts or whatever, and just your whole front row just gets real big, or you can hit your crits and whatnot. But like in Aquaforce, you have to like get to a certain battle, so you could have triggers go to waste because you have rear guards rested that you might want to still use after the fact.
Not only that, because of the break ride, it actually gets big.
But I think one thing we have to keep in mind, if we get a reveal that's as good as this, like as good as these two cards, I'll be very surprised. Like I'm honestly like, given our first batch of support, I'm not gonna be like
I'm expecting
super
our
high
grade
hope.
one to be good.
Yeah, I'm expecting us to get a good card, but I'm not expecting us to get like a pair of really, really good reveals like this.
I think we're probably going to have like maybe 1 or 2 more good reveals, and then that's going to be it. One of them hopefully being Glory.
I think the G1's going to be amazing. I think whatever our double RG3 is, that'll probably be really good.
I hope that's our finisher, whatever it is.
The double RG3?
Yeah.
Same. I really want to know what this Valkyria's Oath Deern is, just because like she looks like she potentially might be the first female boss monster boss unit in Aquaforce.
Oh, is it a grade 3? Do we know for sure?
No, we don't. We don't know for sure though.
I would love it to be like Last Card Revan or Hydra.
Assume it's going to be what Jill and Charlene play because they're coming back.
Oh yeah, and they probably won't play Genovius. She might.
We might get a new archetype thrown in, which will split our support and feel bad. Let's just hope that doesn't.
I think that's kind of what they were alluding to in the post.
They said there's going to be a brand new deck able to be built from this.
Oh, yeah, the battle Valkyries.
Yeah, or whatever.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, that's fine with me.
I do think we're a clan that kind of needs like not so much more subclans, but a bit more like diversity in like our units, and it opens the window for something not so much different, but like new.
That means Valeria might come back.
Oh yeah, Valeria, she'd be great.
But like, it also doesn't pigeonhole them into playing like Hydro Hurricane or stuff like that, or like, you know, unfortunately that means probably no Genovius, but even if we got Geno, like, you don't get the gift when you Legion anyway, so you still have to ride him first, re-ride into Miltiades. I mean, it's doable, it's just like a lot of extra.
So here's a question for you then. What do you think the chances of getting either a Valios or a Thalas be?
I think
now that we know G units are.
I think
no. There's only one. People have to stop saying this. He is in the game. There's no guarantee that it's going to be Shiranui support in Miyagi too. Like, people just keep jumping the gun, and like, you guys got to be patient, because honestly, I think it's going to be Magatsu Typhoon and some of the other Congos. Like, so people are like just jumping the gun and like, oh, like Shiranui's coming back. No, we don't know that. He's only in the video game. He's not in the show.
And, but Blade Master, and then
yes, but that's because Momora's in the game.
Right?
What? Reiji's not a G unit. He was in original Vanguard.
Yeah.
Really rich. I share that.
Like
Reiji was in like BT13 or something like that.
No, I don't think. I think it was before BT13. I think it was like BT. I think it was a Rampage of the Beast King. I think I don't remember the set number.
He's an old card. Like,
yeah.
He's a really old.
So like,
Rampage of the Beast King.
Yes, Blade Master does give us. Oh yeah, BT07. My bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, Blade Master does give us a precedent, but like, people can't get their hopes up. Like, it only happened because Mamoru's in the show, and there's all that backstory from G that him and Nabuki became friends and whatnot.
Yeah,
in regards to
Bishonen boyfriends.
Kazumi Onimaru, like, I don't think you can just assume that Shiranui's coming back. I think we gotta wait and see if they decide to like create new cards just because of the video game. But I don't know. I wouldn't really take that risk.
Well,
and like get all hyped up.
I mean, they're not gonna. If they release a video game, they would probably end up like. I feel like it's gonna be like the old Yu-Gi-Oh days when they insert a insert like a special card here, like, oh, this is the promo card from the video game.
I think they're just gonna shoehorn the Congos on him, to be honest. Because remember, it's still gonna be what's his name with the glasses, playing Nubas. He's probably gonna get the new Magatsu. Like, I'm pretty sure that's the direction they're gonna go. So like, I don't see Thavis on like in the cards or on the table at all until like maybe our last bit of support next year, like in a year from now.
Yeah.
I don't think it's wrong to like assume it may happen
Yeah.
because we have a president, but I'm not like I wouldn't get excited for it. Like, to
Yeah.
be
No,
fair,
I don't
seeing
think it's
Kazumi
happening now.
yeah, seeing Kazumi in the
Huh?
game like super hyped me because low key I really like Shirinu. I thought Dominate before Ren was a really cool like skill intensive deck. You had to like know how to play a lot of different clans in order to min max it, but like they after Ren came out, I was super upset because I loved that clan and it like became dookie butt to play.
Rene is so hard to play, to be honest with you.
Yo,
Oh,
never
man.
tell me that again.
Counterblasting a card, man, can't do it.
I mean,
But
Honestly, like Dominate, but pre-Ren, like Dominate against Messiah was one of the most skill-intensive matchups like ever designed. Is really
I mean,
Dominate.
aside from like Nuba, I don't even see like any other clan that could easily slot in either. It just doesn't seem very likely that all the units are coming back. Like they might over time give us some. I wouldn't hold my breath. If anything, too, we're going to be one of the last. So nothing I'd be overly concerned with. And, like, we
but
still have
that's
plenty of iconic units pre-G to go through.
yeah. But us being last to get like something that everybody else already has is not like something that hasn't been done before.
It's not a bad thing. I just don't see it happening.
No,
I don't see a V Thavis happening anytime within the next year.
like
all right. So here's the last question I have, just from myself. Going in my head is, we're getting a new main character.
Mm-hmm.
Are they gonna play Aquaforce? Boom.
no.
no way.
No.
No, I
Got
don't
it.
see it.
The guy that used to give Aquaforce love, I think he was like the Bushy Road like president or something like that. He,
CEO.
yeah, the CEO. Obviously he's not in power anymore. So,
Dude, he's
yeah.
a board member. He's actually like in all of the power.
Oh well,
Even
then
still, like regardless of whatever position he still had no actual like say or influence on card design. Like when people say that, I'd be like saying, oh, like this person who's like CEO of the company, like it's always been anime driven.
yeah,
Like
unfortunately.
sure we get a little bit more than other clans, but that's because Octoforce, in all technical sense of the clan, is actually a very popular clan in the West.
Yeah.
Like, but in Japan, like they don't really like Aquaforce. Like they barely play it over. So it's probably really weird because the West loves the clan, but Japan doesn't really care for it.
Yeah. So
But-
here's
And our once a year status probably gives them like really awkward scenarios where they have to like overcompensate for support in terms of strength.
yeah, but I mean that is a really good point. But you know we get what we get. Hopefully, like if we saw V Thavas, I'd be happy. It'd make my grade 3 lineups a little bit easier for my premium decks.
I mean, what could it honestly do though that we don't already do?
Yo, if
Yeah.
you get Thavas, I want Rising back.
Nah, man, you ain't getting that.
Wow.
No, but like if we got it, I'd be happy. If we got the Stride Enabler, just like the Link Jokers got, I'd be happy. Like it's not gonna happen because in that same set, Nova Grapplers and Kagura came out. And we don't see Lava Flow or whatever that other ugly ass thing that Nova Grapplers got was.
That's another thing to think about too. Is like Messiahs is a deck that existed only after G.
Yeah. So like they need the Destiny dealer.
Yeah.
My whole thing is like, and I feel like this is where Standard was coming from, was that Standard was more of a is a nostalgia format. It's like, oh yeah, I remember this card. I used to use this card. I mean, everybody's been saying that about everything. How we used to use Maelstrom, how we used to use Destiny, blah blah blah. And my whole thing is, it's kind of, I'm just like, you know what, this nostalgia factor is cool and all, but I'm ready to see some new stuff, some new fresh ideas. I want to see some new units. That like I said, like the Battle Valkyrie, anything like things that have never been in the game before, and give it a new look.
Well, I mean,
Getting a
look at
little sick of
DIs.
it.
They're chock full of like new cards that never existed before.
Well, yeah. I mean, well, No Life King was like a lot of times I see.
I mean, No Life King, Master of the Fifth Element, and Dentarian, yeah, but like almost all their other G3s are brand new. Sorry, Demon Eater too.
Right. But like, I want them to be relevant. Like no one's using.
Oh,
DIs isn't a bad clan.
Yeah.
DIs is not a bad clan
Whoa.
like whatsoever.
No,
The
DI's
problem is
fantastic.
they have awkward builds, but like for instance, I mean, sure it's not the most consistent thing, but like DIs just topped the tournament the other day.
In
Like,
a world full of fish women.
and like people may be like, oh, variants, but like that's a big deal considering the level of strength of Bermuda right now.
64-person event. If any deck can top, I can't think. There's no way you can say the clan's bad if it's able to swim through that much. There's no way
we were
we
saying
didn't
before,
fight multiple Bermudas.
Bermudas are making New Otama relevant because they apparently have a good matchup in Bermuda.
Oh, with that bird that drops
No, they're not even playing Bird. They're playing Voidmaster.
Yeah,
They're
Lux
literally
their
just making it
intercepts,
to where
so
they
they
can't
have no
intercept
shield.
and they can't guard with like ones.
Ugh. Yeah, that's no bueno. Oh yeah, yeah,
They're
big macaw.
multi-attacking. Yeah, like it's really solid, honestly.
And you don't have to go up 2 cards to guard their Vanguard. You just stack 2 boys, and you're like, good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think the problem is people are so like tunneled on like this is the best deck. I have to play this deck, and like what then happens is everybody funnels to these decks, and nobody is playing like these other possible decks to really, explore the matchups and see if there's anything else that can play into it.
Get slapped at a regional. Like people slept on New Batama. Look what it's doing now. For real.
Low key, I'm not gonna lie. Nubatama felt really, really bad until there was a deck that came out that became good. That it didn't feel very fun to play. Like half
But,
the
The thing is like I was always playing hybrid, and like it didn't feel as bad. But the thing is like if you don't crow, it felt awful. But with Voidmaster, it doesn't feel bad because Voidmaster enables both your vanguards.
Yeah.
The problem is the community needs to kind of slow things down and realize that there are going to be decks where things are just going to be straightforward, and you're going to run 4 of this and 3 of that, whatever, and it's just going to top no problem. But there are some decks that are initially like, oh, this deck is slept on. Perfect example, Angel Feather. Everybody slept on that deck. Oh, it doesn't top.
I distinctly remember people calling it trash when it was being theory crafted.
I try to tell people the deck was really good. I remember when Joel made his video like insulting it, and I was like, "No, why? This deck."
Whatever happened
So,
to him?
but things aren't as straightforward as people make it out to be. Like you can't just say, happened numerous times, and I'll name them. OTT, worst deck. Kagero, best deck in format. Turns out OGT was the best deck in format. Okay. People were saying when Aquaforce got released that they were bad and Grand Blue was the best deck at the time, yet Aquaforce gave them contenders every single time, right? Angel Feather, slept on. Turns out to be one of the best decks, topping numerous tournaments for months on it. Like, people sleep on decks. Genesis, really good example. Turn out, if you run Genesis into Angel Feather, 9 times out of 10, you're just going to win by milling them out.
People call it Pale Moon trash.
Remember Regalia, dude.
People call it Pale Moon trash, and fucking I watch Beast Tamer just slap people like left and right.
Yeah, dude, I see Beast Tamer crush people all day.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think
if you have the
Royals
double
are one of
defensive
those...
trigger, it hurts.
I'm not gonna lie, I actually think Royals are one of those decks where, like, if you open the nuts, you always do it, but, like, it's when you don't that you have, like, so many different lines in play, and the deck feels really, really... It actually feels pretty, like, methodical in how you're supposed to play Royals optimally when you don't get the nuts off.
The thing is, it's like when you look at other meta games, like you have what's meta, and then you have like rogue, and then you have anti-meta. And the thing is, it's like these things are always constantly evolving and growing and changing. When you look at Vanguard, people try so hard to keep like the status quo and refuse to accept that rogue and anti-meta are equally as viable. And it's weird because like every other card game exists, but like in Vanguard, it's like you play meta or like lol, you're trash. But the thing is how do you think they find these counters to decks like Bermuda without playing rogue, without playing something anti-meta?
Yeah.
That's actually kind of funny you bring that up, because like I didn't even think about that, but like that's so true. Like people don't even discuss those other options when it comes to like how to go about picking what deck you're gonna play.
Like take right now, like I went to Toronto with a couple of decks I could have played, but I stuck with Aquaforce because A, it's the deck I know best, and B, I went to Toronto assuming we're gonna see Shadows, Murakumo, and Link Joker everywhere. And what beats at least 2 of those? OTT. What do I beat? OTT. So I went to Toronto with the knowledge in mind that if I come against OTT, I'm just gonna slap every OTT deck I see. And I only played 1 OTT matchup, but like I dunked the dude. He only dealt me 1 damage. He had to miracle heal twice. So like,
yeah, I mean, another thing that like commonly people just overlook is like, okay, Vanguard and Bushyard has set up Vanguard to do something that Hearthstone implemented and Magic implemented, and can we guess it? It's called a rotation, people. You want to keep the game at a very similar level, and without having to skip over card design and fit this in. Oh, well, we can't make this skill because this card exists. Rotation.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like
Hope is they
I
don't
kind
have
of like
another.
Yu-Gi-Oh's legacy like meta type of deal, but the thing is Yu-Gi-Oh artificially forces rotation, and they have an actual ban list. We have like love taps.
And I mean, I'm a Magic, play
Ooh.
Magic as well, and with rotations, I don't think it. I mean, if this concept was introduced into Vanguard at the beginning, I think that would have been okay. But the fact that the way that they support it, every clan gets one set of support a year, and they have to support it clan by clan, instead of something where it's like for Magic, you have every color getting supported every set, and then you have a few cards like from Guilds of Ravnica, those types of cards are going to exit, so you're forced to play with other things. I mean, that in that scenario, I think that would work. Other than that, I don't think rotation would be good. I do believe in a ban list, though. I do believe in ban list.
I mean, here's my thing is, and people sleep on the rotation thing, but it can be done. You can easily say, okay, now we're getting into wave 3 support or year 3 support, however you want to label it. Here are the sets that are going to rotate out after that clan gets its support again. So, for instance, they can go, Royal Paladins getting Ganslet support. Okay, VBT-01 is no longer in rotation for Royal Paladin.
Does that get rid of Blaster Blade?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, essentially. Well, technically
they-
no.
they're
no,
putting them
Technically
in.
no. Technically no.
That
We're getting a new
was-
start deck with it.
But here's the thing though, like we're already in a pseudo rotation, and like they even said they extended like they're elaborating on and building on gifts again in this year. There's no guarantee they continue with this next year. They could just reboot the game again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be our rotation.
I mean, that to me would hurt Vanguard players in the sense that everybody, especially for people who like to play premium. Now, rotations would benefit.
It just make everything standard become premium too.
Right, and that's why I say it would benefit premium, but for people who are playing standard, you don't want to restart again. I mean, you don't want to restart with set 1 Nova Grappler or something like that again. It's just I just don't see a rotation being. I'm all for ban list, but I'm for rotation for this game. No.
I actually agree. I think a rotation is very bad for this game as a whole.
Same. I'm in the opinion that it's like Yu-Gi-Oh and should stay legacy with a
I mean, here's my question to you guys though. Like looking at it, right? So without a rotation, then things that we ran into problems with G is certain clans couldn't get stuff because they had to design around certain cards, and I feel like that's just bad. Like at some point, I mean, and putting them on a ban list isn't really the answer because it's just you're banning a card that may or may not be used. Like,
well, the
depending
best
on
way
the
to handle it
situation.
was like what they did with Sanctuary Guard. Like instead of just banning Sword Me, they just made it unplayable as Sanctuary. Stuff like that is perfectly fine. Same way they did it with Noah Life King Assassin. Only one assassin in the deck, like that's fine.
I mean, Pale Moon can only play Trapezist or what's her name. They can't play both in premium.
Yeah,
sure.
I think it's perfectly. I think handling it that way is a little bit more reasonable than.
I'd kind of also like to see him expand on the Cray Elemental idea. I like the idea of like there being cards that everybody can dip into because like one of the things that's really frustrating for me for this game is like when you think about games like Yu-Gi-Oh, like you might play a deck that like that archetype isn't getting support anytime soon, but these sets are still coming out with like spells, traps, other engines that you can throw in to improve your deck. But like for example, like us, we've been stuck with these same cards for a year. Like all these sets are coming out and we have nothing we can throw in to improve our stuff. Like we're just stuck until
that's also partially their fault. We have promos, they're just fucking up.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess that's true. We just don't see it, so it makes it frustrating, like for us as players.
I do see your point. Like Bobo and Hanley have been mainstays in premium for like the last year or so. Like that just goes to show the strength of like some of these Cray Elementals and like having those kind of techs is one of the cool things about deck building. Like it adds that layer, that level, like the extra level of strategy. Like for instance, the Great Nature deck that just drops double Hanley on your board in the middle, or on their board in the middle of your turn. It's like, okay, well I guess it's Aqua Force. I don't have a turn anymore. Like
Yeah.
and stuff like that is cool.
I think it is possible. I think, and I'll just end the rotation kind of conversation with this, is that I think it's possible if and only if boosters and extra boosters were bigger. So extra boosters, 5 clans, and main boosters, whether it's 7 to 8 clans. And the reason I say that is because then, assuming you get a set out every month, you're only looking at every clan getting support every 3 or 4 months. So it's actually a lot faster.
Honestly, not only that, I feel like they need to have twice a year fighters collections for standard. Like some clans just are absolutely left in the dust. Like Grand Blue is like crippled. They cannot do anything. They need so much help, and like even 2 really good promos could have done like a lot for them. Throughout this last year. Like I feel bad for all the people who play Grand Blue and love it, and like are really trying to just make it work in standard, because it's got to be a frustrating endeavor.
Yeah, that's most likely true. But we definitely have went way off topic. But it was onto some discussion that I feel like that was needed. But for now, we're gonna have to shelf that until possibly this weekend, where we can go more into depth with this stuff. And yeah, because I gotta start doing stuff to get ready for tomorrow and tomorrow's videos. So unfortunately, we gotta cut this a little bit short, because you guys are definitely having some good conversation that I do want to get into. But yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, and we can listen to CFK's spotty connection some more as well later.
Go jumping.
No.
See, look at it.
I just want to hear his mom go, "Yo, how was that dinner?" Mom, it was great.
My microphone. This is my brother's Blue Yeti mic. This thing picks up everything.
It picks up everything.
Yeah.
Everything except for when you're trying to talk.
Yo, we heard your brother taking a dump. That's what I.
Well, I won't speak on that.
Is your brother still playing the game?
Oh, Vanguard, yeah, he plays Narcomi. He plays Narcomi. But yeah, he still plays. We try to go to locals, but he's coming up on finals, so he has projects to do.
All right. Well, anybody got anything else they want to say? Like, quick little.
I do want to add one thing. Like,
gotta be quick though.
In regards to Glory, I get it. In regards to Glory, like, and like hoping he has the Battledore skill. I'm hoping that he also has a cross ride, and like for having Mail and Soul, you get the bonus 5K or like 3K to your front row for free. That'd be something that really, really, really helps us when we're on him to still have impact. But I really hope that they don't waste this opportunity. Like, they make him the cross ride, they make Maelstrom actually feel relevant. It doesn't even necessarily have to be Maelstrom, although Maelstrom just seems easier. It could be a card with Blue Storm in its name or something.
Yeah.
In the same vein, like Dueling Dragons, or like maybe it'll be like Ravenhair, where it specifically states if you have Maelstrom and Soul.
God, I hope not.
But I really hope that, like, because the second we ride on him, if he doesn't give our units power, like, even if he's really great, that turn will still feel kind of bittersweet. I hope he does something to give us to keep that static power that we get. I really do hope he gives Global Battledore.
I really, really, really would like Maelstrom the Glory to Superior Ride if the 3rd and 4th battle of the turn both.
Superior Ride. We DP now?
Yeah, dude, we just Superior Ride if the 3rd and 4th battle don't hit. That way we just always.
Oh, that'd be pretty nice.
I just want Glory Maelstrom to.
He just wants Glory Maelstrom to stop talking, apparently.
Yeah, I just want Glory Maelstrom to be. See, I get this guy. He understands.
What did you actually say?
Who, me?
Yeah, you cut out the end.
I said I want Glory Maelstrom to be changed. I want him to hit the board and, just be like, my opponent's like, oh, snap. I'm scared now. Like, yeah, you got like 2 turns to win because I'm coming at you.
I want people to literally load their pants when he hits the board. I literally want his effect to say my opponent must craft their. That'd be perfectly fine with me.
But I don't want a Ravenhair. That's what I don't want. I don't want Ravenhair card, because Ravenhair doesn't. Ravenhair's okay, but no, he doesn't make me crap my pants. I want something different, something better.
But no, realistically, I think Aquaforce isn't far off being a very, 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 very good clan. It doesn't mean a lot, and I don't want them to give us too much. I don't want them to give us too little.
I'm okay if they give us too much, because even if it spikes our price and stuff like that, at least it gets more people into the clan. It puts us back out there, and we'll have like that lasting power.
More views, man. Come on, that's all that matters.
Views.
Exactly.
Yeah,
What's up, dude?
What's up, dude?
What's up, dude?
the main thing though is like I just really want like the support to come together and feel cohesive. Like the on-hit package, like I hated it at first. After playing it for about a year, like I've grown to like it. It's nice. It's unique. Like play style. As far as I know, besides Battle Sisters, we're the only one. Oh, sorry, Battle Sisters and Silverthorns. We're the only ones to really do it. We're the only ones doing it in standard. And like the pressure it can bring is nice, but like we just don't have that payoff or like the good enough on hits. I hope like if they continue with it, they give us like ramped up on hits. Like the payoffs are better.
Bushy, give us
me
our
that one.
promo. Give us
Yeah,
all
give us
our
our promos. Oh my god, all our promos are so good.
I want
Give us
Stealth
our promos.
Millipede right now, dude.
I don't care what clan out of this set or this extra booster becomes meta, but I want it to change the meta. Because if not, this shit is going to move. It's going to destroy, just like EV0.
Honestly, all three clans are clans that need a lot of help. So I really hope that like all the support for all the clans in the set are good. I know DP players are like just like crying in the corner after premium collections. Like they need something too.
DP needs a grade 2 with an effect.
DP needs the grade 2 something.
Yeah, they do. Alright.
I don't want DP getting anything.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I want them to get something. At least it shakes up the meta.
Yeah.
Okay.
Add some variance. But, alright, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. We will see you next time, and just remember, be cool, be safe, be good to each other. We'll see you later.
Just end the video, go.
Shut up! Connect when you can make one straight sentence, that's when I listen.